Hello, my name is Steff. I have Danny here with me, and welcome
Hello.
to the MuyHidden Podcast.
Woo!
So, ghost.
Yes.
What are they? The most familiar definition of a ghost is believed to be the spirit or soul of someone who has passed away. They can make their presence known to the living by materializing from what appears to be out of thin air, appearing wispy or translucent. At times, a ghost can be a full-body apparition. Other times, they don't appear at all, but find other ways to make themselves known. Ooh, disembodied voices, random thumps or creaks, objects moving on their own. Are they real? Are they truly the dead coming back to visit the living? Or is there something else there that we cannot understand? In this week's episode, we will be talking about some viewers' paranormal encounters, as well as ghost theories, and a special guest interview right at the end. There is a slight trigger warning because some of the theories might be anxiety-inducing, since we are talking about ghosts, the afterlife, death, and some other worldly topics. If you haven't already, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on all of our social media handles. That's the term, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Feel free to leave a comment letting us know if you believe in ghosts as well. So I put a little questionnaire on our Instagram story at MuyHidden. Follow if you like. And these are the results of the followers who actually completed the questionnaire. And Danny, I'm actually going to be asking you these questions as I say the results.
Okay.
Okay, so the first question was, do you believe in the paranormal or supernatural?
Sometimes.
What do you mean sometimes?
Sometimes.
Well, that wasn't even one of the options. It's either indifferent, yes or no.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, well, since you said yes, you fall under the 88% of the people that actually believe in it as well. Only 4% said no, which I honestly thought was going to be like a 50-50 thing, but no, I am kind of surprised that a lot of people believe in it. And only 8% said that they're indifferent about the whole topic. Now, have you, Danny, ever encountered something paranormal?
Yes.
Have you? Or you're not sure?
Yeah, but not... Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but it's like... I don't know how to explain it, but I saw a picture, pretty much.
Oh, the picture.
Yeah, the picture.
I forgot about the picture.
We'll show later. But
yes,
the picture.
That's something for another day then?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about it some other day. So 46% of the people that took the questionnaire said that they're not sure if they have encountered something paranormal. 38% said yes, explanation point, and 15% said no. So again, I'm kind of surprised that the no has been the lowest percentage of the whole thing. I don't know why I always thought it was going to be 50-50, but the amount of people that like follow the Instagram and like all these podcasts are probably believers at the end of the day, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other question that I put is, what do you believe in the most? And I'm going to ask you as well. These are your options: ghosts, demons, angels, and witches. Go.
I feel like ghosts and witches are my top two.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Because my dad also told me a story about a witch from his hometown.
True.
Just a story for another time.
Story for another time. Okay, we'll have a full episode just about your stuff and your encounters, which is kind of interesting, and I guess that would make sense because something about like demons and angels feels like it's probably like two sides of the same coin. So if you like one, you should also like the other. Yeah. And in regards to ghosts and witches, I feel like those are two completely different things. Mm-hmm. So it's very interesting to me that you like those. But 75% of people do believe in ghosts. And surprisingly, demons, angels, and witches, all of them is only 8%.
Oh.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be like an even number throughout the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, y'all surprised me on it. The last question, which, again, I think I've been surprised by all of these answers, is would you go out of your way to have a paranormal experience? And majority of you guys, if not every single one of you guys, put F yeah. And no, I will not go out of my way to have a paranormal experience. Would you?
Yes.
Why?
Because you experience something new.
No.
No? As long as I'm safe, in a safe distance, I think I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what's something that you're like, no, that's not something I want to experience, or that's not something I want to mess with?
Something that happens during my sleep.
Oh.
Yeah, nothing. Nah, because I value my sleep.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So, and that's something that I want to talk about one day, sleep paralysis and like paranormal encounters that happen during that time. But that is going to be for another episode. We're not going to fall into that topic. Something that I personally would never, ever want to experience would be the Ouija board or whatever I want to mess with. That's like a big no-no for me. Maybe I'll want to go like to a certain haunted, quote, haunted, unquote, location.
No,
maybe I would like to.
No.
Maybe
Not me.
if I had like some holy water with me, or
only during the day though. For me.
Okay, so you wouldn't go at night.
At night, no. I feel like it's.
What if that's where everything happens?
Yeah, that's why.
No, that's why. That'd be good.
I don't want to go at
That'd
night.
be good footage.
It would be good footage.
Yeah. Well, something that did happen to me at night, and I thought I would actually talk about this. This has been my latest paranormal encounter, and I feel like it would add on to this episode. I do think I am a believer of ghosts, but some of these theories have kind of steered me to thinking otherwise. But the theories we'll get to in a moment. Let me tell you about my paranormal experience that happened back in 2021. Okay, so I had just gotten out of work. It was roughly 11:30ish, and I happened to park across the street from my house, and I called my friend because I was just ranting. I just needed to rant before I went inside the house. I wanted to rant about my work and how it was like sucking the life out of me, how much I hated it. And as I'm calling and talking to this person, sobbing uncontrollably, I was just it's even still taking my breath away till now. I was just looking at my house and the neighbor's house, and I was just letting my eyes wander as I'm like talking and whatnot. And then I saw from the neighbor's house on the side, what looked like a shadowy figure. Now, I honestly, in that moment, I was like, oh, that's just a neighbor, right? The figure looked like it had bent over and peeked outwards towards the street. And then it went back and it like laid flat against the wall. Almost like if someone was playing hide and seek, right? And, in that moment, I just kind of ducked down a little because I didn't want them to see that I was crying. And I'm trying to like still somewhat recall what exactly happened, but I kept looking in that direction because it looked very interesting to me how this thing or this person kept doing the same like movement. And mid-rant, I just stopped and I jokingly told my friend, like, hey, I think this person's trying to sneak out. And they kept looking out almost again, like if they're playing hide and seek or if they were like trying not to get caught by someone. He asked me for details, like, oh, like what's this person look like, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't have any. To be fair, I have horrible vision and I already like put my glasses away. I was not going to take them out, right? So then I started thinking a little bit more like, okay, who could this person be? And, the only knowledge that I knew and the family knew of the house was that person was an elderly woman who couldn't walk anymore, right?
Yeah.
So I thought just maybe someone had come visit. They were just sleeping over. But again, usually if someone comes to visit, there's a car in the driveway. There was no car in the driveway, and I just kept thinking about it, like, oh, but what if this and what if that? And I kept trying to like come up with excuses, right? And there was even a moment me and my friend were just kind of like jokingly, funny not funny, oh, what if it's a thief and I parked and now they can't escape because they're waiting for me to go inside a house or something, right? And then I realized this person was tall, not just like tall, like this person was tall. And this woman's fence was probably like 6 feet tall, and this figure was towering over it. And so I mentioned it, how I couldn't really make out the details, right? But then I started looking around the figure and I was like, okay, but I can make out the details of these other things. So that's when it hit me that this was like a black shadow. Like this was just a shadow. Like I couldn't make out any details because there was no details on it.
Yeah.
And so in that moment, I just hung up on my friend. I didn't say nothing. I just dipped out of the car and I booked it straight to a house. And I went inside. There was even a moment I couldn't even like open the door, and I just did not. And I refused to look that way because again, it kept doing the same movements over and over, where it would peek out and then it would put its like body back against the wall. And even now, as I'm trying to remember the event, I'm trying to remember like what it looked like, I can't even remember like the lower portion of the body. It could have been someone. I'm not saying it was a paranormal thing, but that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, because I can't remember the lower portion of its body. All I remember was this very dark figure, and you know, that's like, it was just a very weird experience that I had. Was I scared? I think I started freaking myself out near the end because I couldn't really make out the details. But I look back at it and it wasn't something that like that scared me. Like it didn't bring any fear to me. I was pretty chill about it. Yeah. So that's my latest ghost.
Is it the house that I'm thinking about?
La Señora right next to us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was that one. Okay. And that's something that I've told you before. I didn't even write this down, and now that we're talking about it,
yeah.
Danny and I, we used to exercise in the back part of it. So there is like a brick wall between their house and our house,
yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
And so there was a few times where I genuinely saw what looked like something peeking over the fence. And I had told you, and I was freaking out. Do you remember that day?
Yeah, but I'm very skeptical.
Yeah.
But it could have been a cat. I'm just saying.
I don't think there's...
That's me.
Well, yeah. Well, it was like the corner of my eye. It could have
yeah.
even been my hair, honestly. But
yeah.
that one experience about the shadow peeking over, that's something I can't explain.
Yeah, I don't get that one either.
No. And even till now, the house, whenever we go visit family, it still creeps me out, and I don't like looking in that direction. Yeah. So that was my paranormal encounter. Hope you enjoyed, because I didn't that night. Now, other experiences that we have and that even you have encountered, we'll save that for another day.
Mm-hmm.
As of now, I really, really, really want to get into these ghost theories. Now,
let's do it.
Yes, and then we'll get into our viewers' paranormal encounters in a little bit. But let's start off with the ghost theories. And I'm going to start off with this one because I thought the way this Reddit user approached it, it's named under SameXIOP. That's the user's name. And he kind of tried to explain a ghost star in a scientific approach,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. So
something, again, going back to the beginning, we believe that ghosts are just like the soul or the spirit of someone who has passed away. Now, this person tries to let me just read it. Let me just start off. So okay. This person begins their post by writing, quote, "Everything physical that is moving is also energy. In our universe, everything is constantly moving. So in the right conditions, energy can become a mass and vice versa. What this made me think is that we normally interact with objects on our own visible physical level with normal laws of physics, right? Which we are more than familiar with. But what if there would be another route from the very energy itself into our physical mass-wielding world?" It continues on, okay?
Okay.
"If we take it even further and say we die and lose our physical body, but our quantum level brain processes and energy stays intact for a while, and in some rare cases, these conscious energy fluctuations could continue to manifest small changes in our physical world for X amount of time. Einstein is not making it easy, also stating that in our universe, energy never disappears. So maybe it could just, quote, lose, unquote, its humanity and go explore the universe without the human limitations like time or becoming one with it. Take this with a huge amount of salt, and it's just my thought process and 2 cents when I was thinking about the universe, when I was thinking about the nature of our universe, unquote. So in a nutshell, basically our bodies are just a vessel, right?
Yeah.
And our souls and spirits are just contained in it. So when we die, our energy and soul or spirit gets released into the world, and we have no limitations, right? Just like you said, the time doesn't limit us, or our body no longer holds us back. We then become free to explore, and maybe that's what a ghost is.
Wow.
Right?
I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, when I was reading it,
It's kind of cool.
Right? I was like, that's really cool. And, going back to, because he really explained into detail. I had to, Google to define majority of the words he said because I was a little confused. I really wanted to know if, there's any other scientific proof or anything that's come close to it to try to define what a ghost is. And something that really caught my eye, and this is just a very side little experiment that I came across, was the 21.3 grams experiment back in 1907 by Duncan MacDonald, where he weighed the body of an individual before death and after death.
Oh, I've heard this one before, I think.
Yes, and the difference usually was roughly about 21 grams. And people have tried to debunk it by saying, oh, maybe there was lungs in the air right before the person died, and so maybe that could be the difference between it. Or, the body, once it dies, it relaxes all the muscles, which can cause that slight fluctuation.
No, I don't think it makes...
I mean, kind of does. I don't know,
Air? The lungs makes a weight difference?
The scientific community itself has kind of rejected the whole experiment.
Yeah.
And, despite the number of times that he has repeated it and the, what's the name of the results? Sorry.
Yeah, the results.
The results of it were almost to a T every single time, right? And so this kind of popularized the theory that the human body does contain a soul or a spirit. And I thought that was,
could be.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. That was a little side fact,
Yeah.
I just thought it was very interesting. But we're going to just keep going with the theories. We're not going into the scientific aspect of it because I don't think there's much evidence. But the second ghost conspiracy theory is that ghosts aren't real. There are 2 points in time intersecting.
Ooh.
Okay, stay with me on this one.
Huh?
Stay with me on this one because...
What?
Okay, so we're going to be going based off of Albert Einstein's theory of the fourth dimension, right? Where he basically said it's all about space and time. Mm-hmm. Okay? So humans are 3-dimensional beings. If you didn't know that, now you know.
We're 3D?
3D,
this
baby.
Whole time?
The whole time. So the objects around us are also 3-dimensional. Width, length, depth, and height, right? Yeah. We are only capable of perceiving 3 spatial dimensions, which is the up, down, forward, backward, left, and right.
Yeah.
We can also see 2-dimensional items, right? Which is flat object.
Right.
That has length and width, but no depth. So just like a shadow.
Yeah.
Right? And first dimensional would only be like a straight line, right?
Yeah.
So 3, 2, 1, we can see. Yeah. But as for the fourth, and this is something that I thought was very interesting. And this is from someone called Greenish Cora. I hope I said that right. It is Cora, right?
I don't know.
It is today. The website.
Oh.
So this is what they put. Quote, "This is the fourth dimension, a continuous, endless series of 3D worlds. Since we live in the 3D world, the fourth dimension is represented as time, because we move forward as one 3D world in a line of infinite 3D worlds. Time can be considered like a stop-motion movie. There are multiple instances. Imagine these images are like our 3D world. We go on with our daily lives as the instants keep changing, allowing us to move, quote, forward, unquote, in time, end quote." Right? So now apply that to this ghost theory, right?
Okay.
It is a moment where 2 points in time intersect. So they pass by each other for a second and then continue onward into their points in the 3D world, right? So hypothetically, in a hypothetical, let's say one of us encounters a ghost, right?
Okay.
Someone standing in front of us, let's say they're dressed in 1920s clothing, something like that, right?
Uh-huh.
So that ghost we encountered will think they encountered a ghost.
Oh,
right?
So they saw us?
They saw us in our 2023 clothing, right?
Okay.
So we would be a ghost in someone else's present time, vice versa, right?
Uh-huh.
So it is a moment where the fourth dimension seeps through and gives us a glimpse of the past, present, or future. They give us a still frame, a multiple instant, and we then think it's a ghost or a soul.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
Okay, so now there's something that I saw on TikTok. It was a video, and I honestly thought I saved it, but I can't seem to find it anywhere. So if anyone does come across it, please send it my way so I can credit them on it. But this is something that I remember, and I'm just going to give you like a rough version of it because I can't remember where I found it or what exactly it was. I can't remember if it was the sister or the friend. Now, I'll just say friend for now. The friend was really young. She was at her grandma's house with her sister. The grandma was fixing her jacket. And when the friend looked down the hall and saw a ghost, a woman wearing strange clothes, right? The friend didn't think much of it, just thought it was a ghost encounter. Fast forward to the friend now being an adult. She walks inside the grandma's house, and as she makes her way down the hall, she sees herself and her sister as a child. The grandma at a much younger age,
Whoa.
fixing their jackets.
Oh my God.
I know. And this kind of came at a perfect time when I was doing research on this whole theory of like ghosts and us just kind of intersecting with past, present, and future, right? And so when I saw this TikTok, it honestly blew me away. I was like, oh, yes, I have some evidence. But then I lost the video, so you can take it with a grain of salt. But there is something that a very popular TV show on Netflix has kind of given an example as well. They did it in a very subtle way about this like whole ghost theory, right? And so the show is called The Haunting of Hill House. And I am just going to say huge spoiler alert. If you haven't watched it, skip forward because I'm about to ruin something very big, okay? And now one of the main characters named Eleanor sees a ghost of a woman she calls the bent neck lady.
Bent neck?
Bent neck lady.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. So ever since she was a child, she was haunted by this woman, constantly seeing her everywhere. Eventually, the woman disappeared from her life, and Eleanor went back to living a somewhat normal life. Until one day, the bent neck lady returns. Another spoiler alert, because I'm about to ruin something, and you cannot get mad at me if I ruin it for you, because I already warned you twice. So we see Eleanor make her way back into her childhood home, haunted with ghosts, including the ghost of her mother. She becomes entranced and dances with the apparition of her dead husband, who leads her to a set of stairs. At the top of the stairs, her mother greets her and places a necklace around Eleanor's neck. She slowly comes out of the trance and wakes up to see her mother put a rope over her neck. Oh. Not a necklace. Okay? I can't recall, you know, if Eleanor falls off or if her mother pushes her off. But the point is she is thrown off the second floor and she hangs, breaking her neck in the process.
Oh, snap.
I know. And so the camera pans back and we see her take the shape of the bent neck lady.
Oh my God.
I know. So there's a saying, you know, the one that when someone dies, their life flashes before their eyes, right? And in this case, in her case, it flashed before her eyes, and we are shown every moment she had encountered the bent neck lady. Only this time, we see it from the bent neck lady's point of view, not a young Eleanor's.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I kind of see where this is going, I think.
Yeah.
Okay,
so I'm gonna show it to you later because it's a very like I can't even explain how much of like. This is great writing. This is amazing. And they use this like theory in such a very small and subtle way. So I absolutely love that show. I think it's one of my favorite shows. And I'm actually going to quote a line in the show. And it says, and this is Eleanor talking to her siblings about it. And she says, quote, everything's been out of order. Time, I mean. I thought for so long that time was like a line, that our moments were laid out like dominoes and that they fall one into another, and on it went, just days tipping one onto the next, into the next, in a long line between the beginning and the end. But I was wrong. It's not like that at all. Our moments fall around us like rain or snow or confetti. End quote.
Oh,
right?
That's cool.
I think that one's like my favorite theory. I don't know if I fully believe in it, which is,
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, but I do think really cool. It's very entertaining.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting. And I just never thought about that before, So it's a good one. It's a good one. I really like that one. And I have just one more theory, okay? And this one kind of falls with all the other theories in a way. And let me just read it to you. Basically, it's about ghosts and how they live in the fourth dimension. Okay? So those who pass away, the spirit can wander around the fourth dimension because they're no longer being held back into the three-dimensional world. So this one kind of does tie into like the first one, where he was taking that scientific approach, and he's just like, oh, we're no longer held back. We're no longer limited. We're held back by time, or limited because of our bodies. And they could only do so much. They could only see so much. And this one was actually, I found it on Reddit, from a u/Dano_911. I have to give them credit, because this is amazing. Mm-hmm. And he titled it, quote, ghosts, spirits, and other paranormal entities are fourth dimensional beings, end quote. And I am going to read this verbatim because, again, he summarizes it so perfectly. Quote, enter ghosts, spirits, demons, and everything else that goes bump in the night. If these are fourth dimensional beings, they would have the advantage of being able to hide themselves from our 3D perspective. Yeah. Making us unaware of their presence until they wanted us to know they were there. They would also be able to manipulate our 3D environment without detection and without any logical explanation we could comprehend, end quote. So what if the fourth dimension is just the afterlife? Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I felt like I could really like.
So that one kind of ties in with the one you said before, when the energy goes away and they could roam around. So this one is saying that when you die, you pretty much go into the fourth dimension.
Yeah, I guess like that one, maybe you don't go into it, but you're now
a part of it.
You can now, like a store, you just go in whenever you want, come back out. Oh, it's interesting. Yeah, I really like that one too. And again, these are all theories. You could take it with a grain of salt. Of course. Not trying to offend no one's
point of view.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah,
I completely spaced out on that one.
Yeah. Are you getting dragged to the fourth dimension?
I don't know, man.
Spacing out.
Spacing out. And I think right now will be a perfect time to talk about some paranormal experiences that some people have gone through. And I am going to start off with the story from my friend Jesus. Okay? Hey, Jesus. Now, this one, he says, this story is about my grandma and grandpa that live in Mexico taking a trip to a rancho to go buy groceries and to have some tacos where they encountered something scary. So when my grandparents were younger, back in the old days, when you would have to ride on horses, make far travels, there was a big tree that they would have to pass by where the land is. On that tree that they would have to pass by every single time, there was a person that was hanged there, and it was a priest. And I, even at just that line, have so many questions. If it was a priest, what did he do? And why did they hang him? But obviously, let's go on with the story. So the story goes that one night a priest was taking the route to go to his church because he was coming back from a journey from a small town, and the only way to get back to his church was to take that path where the big tree was at. Back in the days, would have to use a lantern or a torch. There were no flashlights or street lights to see at night. So the priest was riding his horse in the dark street road, hearing crickets and wild animals at right which it didn't bother him. I'm assuming he meant at night.
At night, yeah.
Yeah. The priest was riding and was getting close to a big tree, which at night looked really creepy, like if some monster was going to jump out of there. Ooh. Then he heard thumping sounds and the ground shaking like if there was an earthquake happening. He then looked behind him and it was a group of bandits that were going place to place trying to see if there was people at night traveling alone to rob them. When they stopped the priest, they asked him, "I want all the money that you are carrying and your cross, which was made out of gold, to hand it to me." But the priest told them, "I would not give you no money or cross which he said. The bandits told him, "This is your last chance. If you don't, we will take it from you." And the priest still refused to give them anything. Once the priest gave them his final answer, they then cut the rope and tied it to his neck and hanged him. Once the bandits took what they wanted, they left him there hanging. So back to my grandparents. My grandma was really frightened when it came to spirits or demons. But on one night when they were passing the tree, my grandpa told my grandma to close her eyes because what he saw was the spirit of a hanging priest, but the only thing was missing was his head. And my grandma did what my grandpa told her to do. And when they passed the tree, my grandma heard someone saying, "Can you help me?" And she turned and saw the body hanging, asking to come back. And after that, my grandma told me, "Grandpa, amores?" Hold on. What was it? Hold on.
Damn, it was getting good.
It was getting real good. I'm so sorry. I'm just going to try to... Okay. Past the tree, my grandma heard someone saying, "Can you help me?" And she turned and saw the hanging body, asked to come back. After that, my grandma told me, "Grandpa, amores." After that night, my grandma never passed that tree again. I'm assuming that he tried to write the grandpa's name, and it autocorrected
or something. Yeah.
So that's why this other word came out.
Okay.
But
damn,
we got our answer for the priest.
I feel like I've heard stories like this before.
It's always
like over there about the hometown. Yeah.
And it's always those like urban legends that is passed down from mouth to mouth. Yeah. And that's absolutely terrifying. I think what shakes me even more is a lot of the older generations. They tell to kids to just kind of spook them, get them to go inside the house after a certain time. So just the fact that the grandma and the grandpa, and particularly the grandma, she was just like, "Nope, I'm never, ever passing by again," really shows you that, no, they really had this experience and it's very sincere. And yeah, that's crazy. And we have one more story, the last one. And this one is also insane. I believe it also takes place in Mexico, which, damn. This person...
Understandable.
It's understandable. And this person would like to remain anonymous. Okay? So I'm going to read it verbatim. "I would like to start off by saying that I have always had a strong connection to the paranormal, specifically to the afterlife. I have always been aware of presences, and in order to live a normal life, I treat them like you would a neighbor that you don't know very well. Do not intrude on their space and be respectful at all times." Great advice. "It is my personal view that seances and rituals of this sort are much overused. I understand that people may want to connect with loved ones that have passed, but I urge novices that making reckless connections to the afterlife can have a negative effect on the life that you are currently existing in. One of the many stories takes place when I met my girlfriend's family for the first time. We traveled to Tijuana for Christmas. The area that her family lives in is a very old area of the city. There is a lot of history in the area known as Colonia Alemán. Meeting everyone was great. I instantly felt familiar, as if I had always known the place. After the festivities wound down, I went to sleep alone in her grandfather's room. He was not present that evening, but had spent the holiday instead visiting his daughters in Los Angeles. For those who have never spent the Christmas holiday in Tijuana, it can be a little different than the typically reserved traditions in the United States. Although the evening that I was a part of was reserved, the neighbors had a different style of celebration. Loud music and joyful chatter literally rattled the glass of the technology obsolete window of my room until 6 in the morning. Me being a deep sleeper, that didn't in itself threaten my sleep. But as I entered the room, I knew that there were other beings present in the space I was about to inhabit. I encountered 3 different apparitions that night. Oh my God. By the time I entered the room, it was already around 1:30 a.m. The neighbor's party showed no signs of slowing down, but I lay down and tried to sleep anyway. After about 20 minutes, the first spirit made itself known to me. I felt a finger repeatedly poking the bottom of my foot, not in a manner to cause pain, but definitely a level to draw my attention. As I have said before, I try not to engage spirits when I encounter them. I believe it to be very counterproductive to the life that I live in, the realm in which I currently exist. So I try to ignore it and avert my gaze from the foot of the bed. I look up at the left corner of the ceiling and I see a second phantasm. This spirit took on the form of a greenish wasp nest, stuck in the corner, slowly breathing in and out. Oof. There are many ways to encounter spirits. In many cases, it's not as simple as the more mundane senses. It's often a strong feeling. In fact, the strongest, most menacing spirits I have ever encountered was simply presences that I felt. However, I fully appreciate when there is visible evidence because I can avert my eyes and focus on something else or even take a hint to exit the situation. So after only 10 or 15 seconds of looking at the breathing wasp nest, I turned to my right side of my body to look at the floor beside the bed. There I found a ghostly canine-like animal walking towards the door of the room. It was a brownish-red creature, something between a fox and a dog. It trotted unfazed, briefly stopping at the bedside only to glance at me semi-curiously. At this point, I finally just covered my head with the blanket and waited out the hours until I fell asleep. All while the first spirit is still repeatedly jabbing my foot and the sounds of the neighbor's karaoke party continues to rattle the windows like tightly packed glasses during an earthquake. I woke up sometime the next morning. Thankfully, got a solid 2 hours of sleep at some point. It was enough to make it through the light social demands of Christmas morning. Over morning coffee, I asked everyone about the spirits. The first 2 no one had ever experienced, but the small creature, on the other hand, that was something that my girlfriend's mom and aunts had seen since they were young girls. Her mom says he looks like a dirty dog with spikes, and that she's not afraid of it because it didn't give off any bad energy. I agree. Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Dang.
Those are some crazy paranormal encounters. And the fact that he also got other people to say, hey, I've witnessed this too, was absolutely incredible. Now, if anyone else happens to have any paranormal encounters that they want to share with us, please let us know. Reach out to us on our Instagram or social media handles, and we would love to talk about it and even have you guys on here, just like we did with our friend. Feel free to leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.